Hello guys and welcome back to my channel Scale Up SaaS. Today I'm going to show you how you can build a proper AWS Lambda function with API gateway as a trigger and also AWS SNS as a destination. The purpose of this tutorial is to show you how you can create your own AWS Lambda function, make a post request via API gateway in order to shut down or start EC2 instance that you have, and using AWS SDK, also how to set a proper IAM rule, and basically eventually how to send a notification via AWS SNS services with email, or even to send a webhook. This complete tutorial is for beginners who wanna have AWS and don'ts experience. Follow, listen, take note, it's very easy. And please follow for more AWS tutorial content, and we're gonna start right now. So the first thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna set up AWS IAM role. Okay, IAM is the shortcut of identity access management. What we're gonna do, we're gonna set IAM role for our Lambda function in order to basically interact with it. So we need to basically add three main roles. The first one, permission. The first one is the Lambda full access permission. Okay. Then next one is also the EC2 one, because I'm going to show you how you can stop and start your EC2 instance via the Lambda function. Do it automatically also. And the last one, we're going to use SNS full access in order to publish SNS or notification to the channel that we're going to choose. It can be email, it can be webhook, whatever. And just like exploration and how you can basically use it, I'm giving you a lot of example and hands-on experience, so you're gonna have the chance to explore it by yourself and basically get familiar with this amazing popular serverless service. Okay, so after we created the rule, we're gonna go to AWS Lambda, and this is basically the main dashboard. I already created in a previous YouTube channel a Lambda function with recognition ability. So after we create a Lambda function, we have the option to use something that already built for us, like a Lambda app that already exists. You can basically just go inside and learn from it a lot, and or create something from scratch. This is what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna call it my first Lambda function. Not basically my first, it's gonna be your first, but you can name it whatever you want. And there is a lot of runtime environment. I'm gonna use today Node.js. You can use Python, you can use .NET, Java, whatever you are familiar with. And this is basically the role we're gonna choose now, the role that we already created. The beginner role with the true permission that we added to attach it to the function, so we're gonna be allowed to do the specific request that we're gonna have. Okay, so this is basically the Lambda function dashboard. Here you have the file, the index.js, basically with the code, and you have option to write tests. I'm gonna show you very soon how to write tests in order to check our Lambda function. You can monitor the progress of the Lambda function. You can see the configuration if you need to change something in the future. This is the permission that we just made, the AWS IAM role. You can add or remove a role if you want in the future. So now basically you have the option also to add a trigger. Okay, this is all the trigger you have in order to invoke your function, your Lambda function. You have something, you have trigger that coming with AWS partner, or you have the one that built with AWS. You have the eventbirdge, you have the Elastic Load Balancer, you have the API gateway. This is what we're gonna use today. We're gonna do API gateway and AWS eventbirdge. Okay, and this is basically it's gonna invoke our Lambda function, and then we also are gonna create a destination, like notification. How we're gonna know that it actually is run? We're gonna add a notification with on success and on failure that will notify us via SQS topic, via SNS topic that the function is running. And this is basically a complete guide that you can learn so much. It took me so long to understand how it's work, and I'm gonna show you exactly all the steps that you need to do. So now basically we're gonna pass the AWS Node.js function that's already created in my GitHub. You can go and copy it by yourself, and we're gonna go over line by line, and I will explain you basically what we're gonna run today. So let's copy the code. This is Node.js code, okay. Okay, we copy, we paste, perfect. And now let's explore our code. So as I said, we're gonna use AWS SDK in order to stop or start our EC2 instance. So we need to load the AWS SDK. This is my instance from previous YouTube video that I did. And we're also gonna use the Node.js HTTP request in order to send a request to Slack as a different option with the AWS EventBridge. Okay, so we're loading those two library, and then we basically declare the main export handler function. I also build my own response object. If it's true or if it's false, I'm gonna return a specific response. So the first if we're gonna use the event action. It's gonna be the start. The second one is gonna be if we send in as an action stop. The third one is gonna be a Slack messages, as I told you, because we're gonna also show you how to send a Slack messages. So the AWS EC2 start option, what we're gonna do, we basically just, if it starts, we're gonna invoke the start instance function, and then we're gonna return a response if it's successful or not successful. Okay, and the same thing basically we're gonna do also with the stop function. We're gonna send the action stop, and we're gonna set the AWS EC2 instance, and then we basically gonna run EC2 stop instance with the instance ID that we're gonna send via the API gateway. And another option is to basically just run a Slack messages. The way that I build it is, it's not like this is how you want to build your project. It's just like, as I said, it's example of how to use different options and send and activate different thing with AWS Lambda. So I created everything in one file. Okay, so the third option is the Slack messages. We're gonna send the Slack path and the route, and then we're gonna send a message to our Slack channel. I'm gonna show you soon how we're gonna create the webhook. And once we created the function, we're gonna invoke it, and then we're gonna end it. And the last option, if the action is not something that we declare about it, we're gonna get a response that please run a function, please run an action that is only on specific those three options. So in order to check our AWS Lambda function that we created, we need to use the tests. Okay, the test option is give us basically an option to check our code before we deploy it. It's very useful, and it's gonna save you a lot of time, money, and it's gonna make you build efficient code, because you can test it before you actually connect it with the trigger and with the destination. So the first step that we're gonna build is the stop EC2 instance, and what we need to pass is basically the action, the instance region, and also the instance ID. Okay, this is how you can find your instance region. Mine is US East 1, and this is basically the field that I need to pass in order to do successful stop EC2 instance. And yeah, it's deleted because we exit, so I'm gonna edit again. Okay, US East 1. And also, as I said, the instance ID, because I wanna send the instance ID that I wanna stop or start, as I told you. So you can pick whatever you want. You can also send the array of instance ID if you want. I have only one server at the moment, so this is the one that I'm gonna use. And perfect, we're gonna save it, and we're gonna create now another 3 tests to check Basically, as I said, we have stop function, we have start function, we have Slack messages, and we also have arrow that we're gonna create. So I'm doing it very fast. It's a copy and paste and just changing specific value. Okay, let's load the one that we already created. Okay, now I'm gonna do the Slack and I'm gonna return to it very soon with the other parameter that I need. I'm just setting the test function, and the last one is creating the error action. I'm gonna call it basically the action gonna be test, but you can control whatever variable that you wanna send. Okay, perfect. We created all the first test, and now what we're gonna do in order to make it work, we need to deploy our code. This is a very important step in order for our AWS Lambda function to build the code that we just copy and paste, or the one that you're gonna build in the future. We have to deploy the code. And as I said, I need to basically change the Slack content that I'm gonna send, so I'm gonna do it right now. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create incoming webhook. Slack have this option. If you guys don't have a Slack, you don't have to do it. It's just like, as I said, is an example for how to use AWS Lambda for a lot of options, like interact with EC2 instance and also send post requests. Okay, you don't have to do it. It's just like, as I said, example. So in order to Slack to work, in order for us to send a post request message to Slack, we need to have the Slack webhook URL, and we also need to define the channel and the username and all the other stuff like the icon and also the text. So I'm gonna predefine it here with the with the Slack app integration. Okay, perfect. We created our Slack integration, and now I'm gonna go back to the test that I built, and I'm gonna pass the Slack route. Okay, you can always control the input that you want. It can be dynamic. You can send messages to different Slack channel that you have. I'm just showing you how you can do it dynamically and with a different value. Okay, so we finish build our code, and we have now to do the add the add trigger and the add destination. But before that, let's check our test that we built. Let's check our code. Okay, let's deploy the code that we just change and copy, and let's run. The first step will be start, because I have an instance that it's stop, and what I want to do, I want to make it run again. Okay, so we got a successful response. It means that the instance gonna start very soon. The code is working very well. There is no bug, and the tests have a successful response. As you see, before it was stopping, and now it's pending. And as you can see, the instance basically changed, its status changed, and it's gonna run soon. And this is how you can control and make your instance be controlled via AWS Lambda Function. How cool it is. Okay, as you see, it's running. And now let's run another test to stop the instance. Okay, let's test. And again, the function run with success. And now it's stopping the EC2 instance. And if you're gonna check the instance, you see that it's stopping process now, and soon it's gonna be stopped. So those two functions working. Now let's check the error one. It's working. And as you can see, it's also working. So if someone gonna send us action that is not included in our API gateway, it's gonna return error that we control it and not exception. Okay, Perfect. So you can see also the logging inside your AWS Lambda, and you can see that it's the response is failed. And the last one that we're gonna use the Slack post request that we build to show you that you can also do other stuff, not only like shut down or start your EC2 instance. Okay. So let's test the code, and we got true, we got success. Let's see what we sent to ourselves in our AWS channel. Message sent by AWS Lambda Function. If you learned something today, please subscribe, like, and leave comment. Of course, you don't have to do it. Just if you want to support me, I will appreciate it. And also, if you want to ask questions, feel free in the comment section. Okay, so basically all the tests that we created working well. We got success. So now our next step is basically to add a trigger to our Lambda function. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna create AWS API gateway. I'm gonna show you how you can set it up and send the post request via a Postman in order to trigger our AWS Lambda function. I already created something similar before with AWS recognition, so you can also check this YouTube video. So the first thing that you want to do, you want to choose the REST API, and then just define the name of the API gateway name, and choose Edge Optimize as the endpoint type, create API, and perfect. Next step is to create a resource, and with this we're gonna basically choose the path of our API gateway. It's gonna be Lambda, and also check the checkbox to make it support course request. Okay, great. Next step is to create a method in order to send actually the post request. So we're gonna create a post request method. Let's mark it as V. And here you can basically, this is what you're invoking. We're gonna invoke the AWS Lambda function. You can invoke something else, but this tutorial is about AWS Lambda function. Okay, US is 1, and basically this is the way that you call your AWS Lambda function. Let's save it, and perfect. Now the API gateway connect to the AWS Lambda function, and it's gonna trigger once we gonna send API gateway. And the last step for us is to deploy our API, so it's gonna be accessible and available for us. So let's choose let's choose the stage, let's choose the dev stage, let's deploy it. Okay, perfect. We created our first API gateway, and this is basically the URL that we need to use in order to send the request to invoke the AWS Lambda function. And as you can see, the trigger is added. Okay, it's connected now to each other, and if you're gonna go to the configuration and you're gonna go to the trigger, you can see the API gateway with all the settings. Okay, now what we're gonna do, we're gonna add the destination. We're gonna add the AWS SNS, so it's working by creating a topic, and then we're gonna create subscribe that listening to the topic. Okay, so just name your AWS SNS topic, create it, and now let's add the subscription. I'm gonna add 2 subscriptions today. One is my email to send me an email, and the second one is also you can subscribe to send the webhook URL to if you have a system, a SaaS system that you want to listen to the endpoint of your AWS Lambda function. Okay, when you're creating subscription, you wanna confirm them. So wait for the email or for the URL to your webhook. Okay, we confirm. So now AWS know that this email is basically available to SNS topic publishing. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna create now the second subscription, the HTTPS, and as you can see there is other option also. And this website basically is a cool website that you can use. It's giving you a webhook station and also email station that you can use, and every time a post request or email is gonna be sent to those addresses, you're gonna see it on the browser. It's very cool tool for developer. Okay, let's as you can see, we got the post request to our webhook, and now I'm gonna confirm this webhook also. Okay, perfect. This is the response that you're gonna get from AWS. And let's see that we're listening to on both of those. So yeah, also both of them are confirmed. And now our next step is basically connect the destination to the Lambda function. So we're gonna press the add destination. We're gonna use the asynchronous listening. What does it mean? It means that it's only gonna trigger once you're gonna send asynchronous event. Okay, so SNS topic with the topic name on failure, sorry, on success, and now we're gonna choose the second one, the on failure, and perfect. Now we have destination for both of the event. Okay, great. What is important for me to say, when you're gonna use the API gateway to send the request, it's not gonna trigger the destination, because what we're doing, we're basically sending synchronic API post request. There is an option to send asynchronous post request via AWS gateway. It took me a while to configure it out, but it's very simple. But the AWS Lambda function destination, it's only triggered when you are making asynchronous event, okay, or invoke. And now I'm gonna show you how to do asynchronous invoke with AWS event bridge. Okay, it's gonna be like in the next few minutes. But now let's check our AWS API gateway with the Postman. Okay, I'm gonna use a post request with the parameter that we set on our test. Okay, let's take all of them. And let's trigger again our EC2 instance. Let me show you that it's basically it's not activated, that it's working. As you can see, it's stopped. Okay. Okay, now it's like this is JSON, so it's better to the eyes, you know. Let's send the request. Okay, what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna send API gateway to the Lambda function to invoke the Lambda function. Okay, what is this? Okay, I copy a thing that I don't need to copy basically in the URL. Let me delete it. Yeah, perfect. Okay, let's set the request. And voila, guys, you connected a AWS API gateway with your AWS Lambda function, and you basically initiate your EC2 instance. How cool it is! How cool it is that you did it without launching any server, without like running, managing server and stuff like that. You basically were able to start your EC2 instance. What I'm showing you right now that I still didn't get the AWS destination, because what I did API gateway request with synchronized invoke. So this is why it's not working. But there is an option to change it. As I said, there is an option to change it. Once you're gonna go to the API gateway and change the integration request, there is an option to make asynchronous event. So as you can see, our EC2 instance basically it's running. So the API post request work with AWS Lambda function. Okay, now I'm gonna add another trigger to invoke our Lambda function. So you're gonna have more experience with other triggers. I'm gonna use the AWS event bridge, and I'm gonna set a cron every minute to trigger our AWS Lambda function with different input. Okay, so the first event bridge that I'm gonna create is gonna basically be a function that will stop our EC2 instance. Okay, I'm gonna use the schedule option. Next. Okay, there is you can run the event bridge once a day, once a month, or every 1 minute or 1 day, depend what you're looking for. Okay, now I'm gonna connect the event bridge with my Lambda function. Okay, and here we're gonna choose the way that we're gonna put our input, the data, with the JSON option. Okay, let's take the input that we already have, and let's just change the action to stop. Okay, perfect. All of those things, you don't need to change anything. It's gonna work as it is. Let's save it. And excellent, we created our first AWS event bridge rule. And now we're gonna create another rules to send the Slack messages every 1 minute. Okay, so I'm giving you a lot of options so you can basically know how to choose it with a different type of event, with a different type of services, and how to connect a different type of AWS trigger to Lambda function. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm just gonna send a different input. Okay. Now let's trigger our Slack integration. Action gonna be equal to Slack. And the Slack path, we're gonna take it from our incoming webhook that I created. Okay, next, and create role. You see, it's very simple, it's very easy going. Go on, explore it, and perfect. As you can see, we already got the SNS destination to our webhook, and here are the email. Remember, we have two AWS SNS. We have a destination, we have the email, and we have the webhook. As you can see, we already got them. Every 1 minute we're gonna keep getting them until I will stop it. Okay, let's delete it so you can see it's sending new one. And also our webhook start to listen to new event. And this is basically the Slack messages that get sent every 1 minute. The AWS EC2 action stop. And as you can see, guys, our webhook getting event from our AWS SNS destination. It keeps firing with the same 2 events that we set every 1 minute, the Slack messages, and also stop EC2 instance messages. And we're still getting our Slack messages every 1 minute, and we're also getting our email from AWS SNS. Feel free to watch more YouTube videos that I created about AWS. That is all for today. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe for more amazing tutorials. And leave comment below if you have any question regarding AWS, AI, serverless, and if you want to learn more about AWS. Thank you and have a great day.